Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Mark. Well, today we're getting ready to install the power. We're going to install the Panoptix Livescope by Garmin, but you got to do some things. Now, what I'm doing is for future, because what I'm going to do is I'm running a line all the way back to the battery. It's marine grade SO 8 gauge. I'm going to go to my cranking battery. Okay. I'm going all the way back. We've taken the cover off here. We've loosened the cover here, which I'll tell you, to get this one off, this piece right here, there's 4 screws. Got to use a square drive. Now, this one up here's got 5, about 6, depending on who installed it. There's 6 screws in this cat. And you don't need to take it all the way off. You just need to give yourself a little space. Now, it's really tight in here. Let's get a better angle for you. It's pretty tight with all that in there. I may have to notch this piece just a little bit. I don't want to create a rubbing condition where you can cut into the wire. That just won't be any good. So, why am I going all the way back to the battery? Okay, right now I don't have a third battery. The plan is to mount a battery just for the Panoptix up underneath the casting deck. But by going all the way back to the battery, first I'm going to bring it through the console and then underneath the casting deck. I just want to get it working, see how it works, go through the motions of learning how to do it. I will add a battery. I will cut the wire off up under the dash where I'll be adding a supplemental fuse panel. So it'll all be ready to go. So for now, it's basically for testing. Down the road, it'll be for a fuse panel. So kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone there. And that's where we're at right now. So let me get the power ran and we'll move to the next step. Power's first. All right, we quickly put all this back together. Comes around our wire. I'm gonna zip tie this to the bundle. I gave myself some extra. Of course, the cranking battery for me is right here. So this is gonna mate up here. Like I said, I gave myself probably 3 foot of extra wire-ish. Now, oh, got an exo worm in here. It's a little dirty. I'll vacuum it. But what's going to happen is this is going to feed around here and go right around that corner. And then it won't be mounted to anything on the boat. It'll all go up underneath the casting deck and have 1-hole straps. We got the power wire for the Panoptix. I don't really need all of this, so I'm going to take enough, and you'll see what happens with all of this excess during the install. But basically, it's just going to be looped like this and strapped to the underside of the casting deck. It doesn't need to be very long since I'm bringing power right to it. Now, the Livescope signal, okay, coming from the GLS 10 unit right here. It's going to mount, like I said, underneath the casting deck. This is your feed to your unit. Your power, your network cable, and your transducer all come to here. The only thing coming out of here, traveling up the front of the boat, is going to be the transducer and the network cable. So what they've done is they've given you this little jumper. This actually goes straight to your Garmin fish finder. Okay? You're gonna plug that in. It's gonna plug in right here. We don't want to do this. I don't really want to plug it in, so I'm just stabbing it in there. What's going to happen is this wire is going to come out tucked away right about here. Okay. I'm not taking anything in the front of the boat apart to do this. A lot of this is temporary, but it will look good when I'm done. You won't really see it, but so this is where you would mate it up, right here to this guy. So I'm coming around here. That leaves me about 20 inches of cable right here. This unit's gonna mount right about here on the front end of this casting deck. It'll be upside down. And there's plenty of room under here for the battery, which we'll go over here. I haven't decided what kind of battery I want to do. A lot of people are going lithium. I don't think that's a terrible idea. I just got to do my research and see what I need as far as that and a charging, you know, something to charge it with properly. I don't want to hook up the wrong charger, especially when it's going to be underneath something. Now I got to get this casting deck out of here, which isn't a big deal. Just lifts right out, weighs about 45 pounds or so, I forget. And I'm going to mount this bad boy to the bottom of it and then begin my wire management. And that's pretty much it. Power's already ran. That took probably 5 minutes to take everything apart, feed my wire through, get it to basically underneath the helm. And now I'm going to start bringing it around and managing it to this unit. Now, it really helps to have some supplies. So, being an electrician, I do have a lot of electrical parts. So, one-hole straps like this are going to come in super handy. I'll be strapping all my wire up to the casting deck on the underside using one-hole straps. And I got a bunch of them, so we'll be fine there. And like I said, the key to this is to make everything tight with your wire management, because what you don't want happening is wire to be wherever you mount it. Doesn't matter. People are going to probably think I'm crazy doing it the way I'm doing it, but that's okay. But at the end of the day, regardless of how you mount it, you want no wire to be loose and flopping around, because we know in travel on the road with these, on the trailer and on the lake, stuff tends to bounce around. And all that's going to do is put stress on your connection points. So, something to be mindful of. So, I'm going to get this casting deck out of here. We'll get to mounting this, and I'll show you that. A lot of people by now have built these, done all kinds of crazy things. Honestly, I think the winner of the casting deck build would have to be Stephen Smith. He basically redid the whole front of his boat and made it all seamless, which was pretty impressive that I've seen. Everybody else is kind of, whether they did it out of wood or aluminum, fashioned one. They all look great, but kudos to Stephen Smith. But I did mine cheap and quick. I still don't have the right carpet because of the Bass Pro Shop snafu. I think it's still sitting in Branson. But at any rate, to get this out, right? Very easy. I have some stuff under. Oh, I guess I could vacuum. And that's it. Extra life jacket, extra throat cushion. That is all that's underneath there. How much stuff do you need under there? I have more tackle in the back storage area than I'll ever use. So to make extra tackle up here, just to me didn't seem worthy. But oh, how about that? A little Ned rig, Ned head, brand new. Those are nice to have. It's filthy. I need to vacuum this, so we're gonna do that. Now that I have a clean slate here to work with, I'm gonna put the casting deck back in here. Not installed, kind of upright, to give me a real good idea of exactly where I want this. Now, anybody that has these casting decks, I use 3/4 ply. It's got about a 1/2 inch standoff. So you don't want to go any more than about 1 inch to 1.25 inches. 1.25 inches might be pushing it if you just drive it in there pretty hard. You don't want to step on it. I usually have bare feet in the summertime. That would suck. I'm using 4 stainless steel 1.25 inch screws. That'd be perfect. I'll let you guys see this part. All right, we have shrinkable. All right, we're using heat shrinkable ring terminals. Be careful where you set your heat gun. If you set it on the carpet, big problems. Our ring terminals are done. You do not want to hook these up. This is the last step. So just leave these be. Power's done. I've routed it all the way around. Zip tied here. What's happening here, and like I said, we'll vacuum when all this is done because I'm probably going to make a mess at some point. We got the wire, power wires coming out behind the throttle panel, wrapped around the bottom. Goes around the bottom, it's gonna go around this corner. Now, SO cord's pretty pliable, so you can make tight turns and not risk damaging the wire. It is stranded wire. So I'll be putting a couple little clamps in here to hold it out away from everything. Now remember, all this is gonna go away. It's going to be, there's going to be a fuse panel up in here. And then this power, I will end up cutting this off and putting a battery in here. So this is just temporary to get things going. Like I said, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. All right, we're about 35 minutes into this. Got the power ran, we got the unit mounted underneath the casting deck. We've got the boat cleaned up where this is gonna go. All we gotta do is start landing wires and routing them. So I'm gonna do that right now. All right, we got our power ran up through the bottom of the casting deck. So now what we're gonna do is remove this fuse. If anybody's wondering, it's a 7.5. So there you go, I just threw it around. But you wanna remove that. So now we gotta strip this wire back. We gotta strip this wire back. You don't need a whole bunch. And then we're gonna mate it up with this section using butt splices. You wanna make sure and get all the wire in that barrel. Any bird wires, you don't want them hanging out. Just good practice. 1, 2, it will never arc if it's all in there. So you can see I got black and white wire. In my case, the black's gonna stay black and the white's gonna go to the red. That's really only important when you get to the back and you hook it up back there. You wanna make sure that the white's going to positive on the battery. We'll go ahead and make up power first. Now this wire's already tinned, so that's nice of them. Sometimes it's easier to just grab on first with your crimpers. Prepare, add the wire, and squeeze. And there you go. Got a nice tight fit. And remember, we are going to heat shrink that. And we'll go and do the same thing over here. Very nice tight connections. So at this point now, we're going to heat shrink that. And we'll just do a little zip tie action here and here, just to snug that up. So that's our power. All right. Some of you might have seen this. This is a chassis ground. I am going to run it without it initially. And then if there's interference issues, all I have to do is run a ground wire from here. And in the Heritage and Classic boats, underneath your dash is a ground block. So you can basically just crimp it on. They comes with the fitting to crimp on. You're going to use a female adapter to pin it to your ground block. Kind of a mess. So I'm going to clean up for a minute. Got a couple more things to do here. And the install of the GS 10 unit is complete. Then we're going to mount the transducer. At this point, I'm connecting it now from the Livescope unit to the back of the fish finder. We're going to leave this joint here where the plug mates up to the cord, and I'm going to leave it protected right here behind this rod holder mount. And I'm going to use these 1-hole straps. Now these are big enough. So now we're at the point where we're going to tuck our wire up under the gunnel. I'm going to use these 1-hole straps. Now these are 1/2 inch, basically EMT straps for strapping pipe. It's going to give it enough room. You'll never pinch it. So from this point on, it's very critical that you're very careful with your transducer wire. There are a ton of tiny wires in there, and if you damage them, you're going to have issues immediately. You'll know. You won't get an image. So what I'm doing here, I'll show you. The transducer I think I'll do last, because I have my mounting set up how I'm going to do that. I got a couple holes I need to drill for that, and I got some bolts. Where'd they go? Oh, also got the perspective mount. Now it does come with a mount in the package, which I'll show you later, but when I opened it, I'm like, oh man, did I need to buy this? This is $100, but Bass Pro has them on sale right now for $49, so they're half off. This gives you the ability to use all 3 modes, forward, down, and perspective is basically the unit horizontal. So on one bracket. The unit that comes in the box is just down and forward, that you could mount on your trolling motor or, you know, what have you. But because of the Terova, you can't really do this without a bunch of tomfoolery. And there's a lot of companies out there that sell bracketry that goes on it that, you know, you're going to spend north of $100 and something just for these little brackets. And I have basically figured out how I'm going to run my transducer with stuff I have around the house and $3 in U-bolts. Now, I don't know how it's going to work. I think it's going to be fine. It's all going to be accessible. It's all going to be mobile and stowable. That's all you can really ask for. And at the end of the day, basically all you're asking for is a rigid device holding that under the boat. All right. So in conclusion of this installation of the Panoptix, basically we routed our wires. I painted these one-hole straps just to make them black. I don't know, didn't need it, but it's basically just holding the wire back under the gunnel. I have it set up. I have my Garmin unit set up in forward position, but all that is a gaffing pole that I bought at Bass Pro Shops about 4 years ago. Mounted, that's a Scotty Quick Connect fish finder mount to a Scotty armature. This is all the gearhead stuff that just clips together. And if you notice, I've taped the transducer wire on. Why did I use electrical tape fastening the wire to this pole? The number one reason is you do not want to use zip ties. It will chafe that wire and eventually it'll cause you problems down the road. So that's why I taped the wire to the back of the pole for obvious reasons. If you run into something, it's not on the front side and you're not going to bash into it. That's the reason. I'm going to show you real quick how stowable this is. I did mount one rubber, basically pole holder on the boat. So there's one screw in the boat plus the 3 for the one-hole straps, but they're tiny screws. And you know what? There's holes all over the boat. It's not going to hurt anything. It's a piece of wood. Basically, all I got to do, pull it out of the gearhead mount, pull it up, stick it in, and we're done. That's it. And that's what it looks like. It's very stout. It's not going anywhere when it's affixed here. But like I said, this is version 1.0. Version 2.0, I have all the parts. I'm going to make that video real quick, but we're going to the trolling motor next. I really thought I would like a supplemental pole off to the side instead of affixed to the trolling motor, but for bass fishing, it just didn't suit my needs because I'm moving all the time. We are going to make a version 2.0 tonight that goes to the trolling motor. So I will show you that later. But at any rate, it's a very simple install. This whole thing, for the exception of painting the one-hole straps, which I just spray painted them, and I had to let that dry for about, I don't know, half hour. But I would say this whole installation took about an hour if you just stay on it and diligently work at it. But hey, I've had it out on the water. It works pretty good. I can't say that I've caught a fish from the Livescope. I've just kind of been getting used to the settings and, you know, kind of how it looks. But I think I've been out 3 times now with it, just kind of moving around. 2 of those times the lake was like chocolate milk with debris everywhere, so I didn't really use it a whole lot. That's how I installed the Garmin Livescope to the Bass Tracker Heritage. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any comments, surely comment. And if you like this video, like it and subscribe. I hope you guys have a happy new year. I'll see you in the future. Take it easy.